Yeah, he's working. He's working. Put the
You go, I'll share.
live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry everybody. George is back.
Okay.
My bad.
Sorry, guys. So we had a few technical issues, but trust me, when you do hair industry stuff, you will realise that there is always technical issues. So I'm pretty used to it. So I actually waited for you because if it was a client, then I wouldn't, I wouldn't have waited. But because we're with a doll's head, it doesn't really matter. So I've waited for my second section. So we are on to the small V's. As you can see underneath, I've done those two. So again, we are separating the section into two sections, and we're starting to fill the middle with the tip of our brush. I could kill Simon. He almost said to me, right, that I had to go live on my own. Then I was thinking, shit, what if I can't think of the things to say? Even though I could talk the back legs off a donkey, I still like to have that little bit of support network. So as you can see with the V here, I'm using the front of my brush and I'm taking it right up to the root. My product's thick, like I said. So what you're looking for with the clay liner is you're either looking for a cream cheese or a cake mix consistency, okay? And then you're really working to fill that section on the surface. It's always better. You know, I think this is why freehand balayage takes so much time, because it's all about building your product up as opposed to just going straight in there. So you've really got to take that time to get a little bit more product on your brush and build it up. You know, through that mid-length and end, I'll flip and fill. So what I mean by that is I start with the side of my brush, but actually where I need more product and where I need to really make it look white, I flip my brush onto the side and I fill it just like that. If I've got a little bit more product, I'll just work with my brush and blend it through, okay? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that, guys. I was thinking, oh God, what we're gonna do. But like I said, well, I'm used to. I've worked Simon. I've known Simon for what a good 3 years, and we've done bit of stage work together. So we always know that things go wrong, and I'm always prepared for it. I remember once I was doing a stage show for Hairdresser Journal, and I was doing it in Manchester, and I come up with this idea, right, that I was gonna colour. Well, basically, what happened is I went to Salon International, and I basically put a load of baby wipes in someone's head to curl the hair. It was a complete accident. It was because I didn't have the equipment that I got. Right, so loads of people at Salon International came up and they were like, "This is so creative. This is amazing." I was thinking, "Fucking hell, baby wipes from Superdrug," right? So the next day I decided to colour them and put them in someone's hair, and I did like this stage show, and at the back of the stage show all the electrics just kept cutting out. So by the time I took her on stage and I unleashed like this colour, it was just like a big pastel dripping mess because none of the baby lights had dried because the electrics kept cutting out. So you just have to kind of wing it when these things go wrong. I don't mind.
Well, we've had over a
I've had
hundred
worse
people tune
happen.
back in straight away. So if I could ask
Thank
everyone
you
in this
very
group
much.
to share it, because we did have over 150 at one point, so we don't want anyone to miss out. So you're doing me a massive favour to apologise to Georgia. Please, will you share it?
Don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry. You know, the beautiful thing about these things as well is that Simon keeps them in the group. So we've done if you can remember, on the bigger sections, we have done the large W, so which is basically what it says on the tin. So it is a W shape, okay? You start in the middle, start building your product up, feather it out so it's soft, and then put those lines in that create a W shape, fill in the mid length and end. The second sections we've done, and we've done two of each just so you could see it repeat, is kind of a small V. So we're just filling in the sides, but we're feathering out the middle. So it's kind of like more of a V shape as opposed to a W, okay? The next section that I'm going to use is what I use this quite often. This would be like my balayage ribboning technique. So the way that balayage works for me personally is when it's dark against light, okay? Because the dark effectively makes that light pop even more. So it really is about dimension. So this is like my ribboning technique, which I would use, and depending on the sectioning pattern that I take. So here I'm going to stick 3 ribbons in there, okay? But in between each ribbon, I'm going to leave a piece of shadow. So I'm going to take this section here, I'm going to leave it as a ribbon. Oh, do you know those metal pieces that you get on bottom of your bracket that you use to sturdy your bracket. Dave thought it was really annoying and he's took them off. But as a hairdresser, you need them to keep your bracket straight, don't you? I'm howling at that. So anyway, okay, so my first ribbon, I'm going to start backcombing, and I'm going to backcomb 3 times. I see a lot of people backcomb over the top. Now, I don't think you get enough welly with that. I don't think you get enough oomph. So I go on the underneath, okay? And I'm just going to give 3 backcombs there. And that all that's going to do is it's going to leave me a shadow root area, and it's going to diffuse the line, okay? So I'm going in from the side, feathering out a little bit, but I'm actually going to fill this, and I'm going to make sure that it saturates through both sides. So for that, I'm going to use my fingers first, and I'm going to pinch that product through just to make sure I've got an even amount of saturation, and then I'm going to load it up, okay? Yep.
So we've got a question for you here. It's from Ryan Kerrison. He said, how long would you book out for this application in your salon?
Well, there's 3 different applications here, so it depends on which one you'd mean, Ryan. But I book no longer than than an hour out, basically, for any of my techniques, and that's simply because I just haven't got. I'm all about time-saving techniques, basically, and I'm in the north. And actually, the north is, you'd agree with this, wouldn't you, Si, that we're more challenged in terms of pricing than you are in the south. But I believe that you have to select the techniques that you really want to do, and that you have to practice them so that no colour technique takes you longer than an hour. Because if something takes you longer than an hour, it's never, ever going to be cost effective. I don't know if you can see this, guys. I'm leaving that area of shadow out here. So what that's going to do effectively, it's going to make this area pop and this area pop, okay? Most of I balayage, 6 or 7 different ways, to be honest. And they're all concentrated on saving time, saving products, saving money, but creating a banging effect. And that's something that's really important. So again, I'm just filling that product in, and I'm just feathering up. Go on, Si.
Tracy Dunbar, how are you coping in lockdown?
I'm coping really well. I've loved it. Like I'm loving it. I've missed doing hair massively, but I've just turned my mind to other things. So to be honest, I'm really busy in the industry. So if I'm not in the salon, I am educating, and I'm up and down the country, and I'm in Ireland, and I'm all over. And actually, I'd forgot. If I'm honest, I've forgotten how to think creatively, because I've been going at 100 miles an hour. So it's been real. It's like, actually, since I've been off, I've written a bloody autobiography, because I've just been writing that many notes and shit. But I forgot how to think outside the box. So really, this time has really helped me think outside the box, and it's made me realise the sort of artist that I want to be, and the things that I want to push, and the things that I really want to work on creatively. So just a second here. So we've done a section here that we've painted, a section here that we've painted, a section that we've left out. So what we would do here to make this balayage work is we'd kick out the sides, but we'd fill in the middle. Does that make sense? And that would create a really nice ribboning technique. So again, 3 backcombs. I do love a doll's head for a bit of backcomb. It looks mental. And all that backcomb's going to do, guys, is it's going to diffuse that line. So it's going to make your ribbon softer. So it's always going to make sure that you've got a certain amount of root throughout, and the same amount of root throughout. So I'd always advise that you do the same amount of backcomb on every section. Again, I'm just... Oh, is it? So I'm just filling that in, and I'm really rubbing it through, making sure I've got an equal amount of saturation on either side. And then I'm just going to go back in with a little bit more product. And that's going to be my first section for different balayaging techniques. So remember, we've got 3 techniques in there. So we've got the W, we've got the skinny B, and then we've got the ribboning technique, okay? So now I'm going to move on to what I would call a slice versus a baby light. So let me turn my doll's head around. Now, does anyone remember those really bad 90s highlights that was just horrific? Like, I remember them. I loved them, but I hated them at the same time. Now, this is a technique that is so much more updated and so much more modern. And actually, it's a slice against a baby light and it's against a shadow. So what it does, it creates dimension and it creates softness. And it's like a really great version of a really bad 90s highlight, if that makes sense. I will put a picture. My kid's trying to get in here, but I'm not going to let her in. I will put I will put a picture of it so you know that I'm not like trying to recreate some really bad trend from the 90s. So we're going to start. So the foil that I'm going to use, guys, is the Pro Care foil. I like this foil because it's sturdy. I've got the 24/7 machine in the salon, which is just an absolute lifesaver. But I've got the free foils to use today. But I always like a sturdy foil because at the end of the day, I like more control. So we're going to start off with the slides, okay? So the section that I'm taking, can everyone see it okay here, Simon? Can you see that all right? Yeah, no worries. No, I'll do that, yeah. So as you can see, I've got the second section here. So the depth of this section is 2 millimeters, okay, and that's because I'm going to subsection it, and what that means is I'm going to cut that section in half, okay. I'm going to try to. Right, okay. So this section at the back here is effectively going to become a shadow. So that's going to create the softness and the dimension within this balayage technique, or foliage technique if you'd like. So this section here, I'm going to back comb, and I'm going to back comb 3 times. Like I said, when I teach, a lot of people back comb over the top, but you're never going to get the amount of shadow root that you need. So I always go from the underneath, okay? And this is going to be my slice. Now, I want to work an inch from the root. Now, effectively, 3 back combs is going to give me an inch from the root. But what I like to share, a little tip I like to do, I like to fold my foil over an inch, and that actually acts as a guideline to where to paint my bleach, just as an extra safety net, okay? But I've got to mix some more bleach up, and I forgot because I'm actually changing my bleach now. So just bear with me 2 minutes. So, yeah, thank you very much.
So we've got 125 people watching right now. Georgia won't know that because she can't see the screen. So if you could all give us a share for Georgia's second technique, that would be amazing. My fault we went down for technical reasons, but Sarah Rule has sent a message saying awesome technique. Nina Tuna has said, if you needed a root colour, would you do this after or during?
Okay, so Simon, if I needed a root colour, I would do this afterwards, but I have a general rule of thumb in my salon. So if anyone's not got grey roots, you're not having a root colour. Because actually, whenever we do, especially with balayage, because whenever we do balayage, there's always going to be a stage where it needs moving back up, and that's always going to cause me problems. So I'm quite forceful, and I kind of say, no, actually, if you've got a natural root, you're keeping it. And people tend to listen to what I've got to say. So again, sorry about that. I had to change my bleach because I'm now switching from a clay lightener, because you remember your power is in your powder. So if you're using a clay, you're not going to get the same result as what you do if you use a normal pre-lightener. Now the pre-lightener that I'm using here is the Affinage Highlight. And I'm using it with 12%. I'm using it with 12% because I'm on a dolly head and it's not going to get the lift. I would never use it with 12% on a real human. So we're just starting with the slice, and remember we've left that amount of shadow out. Again, I mix my I've turned my foil, if you remember, to an inch. That's going to kind of act as my guideline to stay away from the root, because even though I've diffused the root with the back comb, it's always nice to have a little safety net, isn't it?
Absolutely. Sabian Hardcastle, is that one of your clients?
Yeah, he is. Hi, Sabian.
He tuned in. He said, I'm obviously not a hairdresser, but it's so interesting to watch all these techniques that go into this and how passionate and talented you are with your work. Cannot wait to get back in your salon.
Oh, what a lovely bloke. I love you, Sabian. I can't wait to send you blue, purple, green, and all them other colours that we do. So the next section is going to be a baby light, guys, okay? So I'm going to do 3 back combs again. This is before our baby light. Now, again, this is going to add to the softness, okay? So I've got a really good back comb root there. I'm going to go in with about 10 weaves, okay? I'm just going to pull that, and I'm quite vigorous with the way that I pull that. just to get it out of the way, okay? Again, I've mixed my, I take the Baby Light slightly further up towards the root. Again, I've mixed my bleach quite thick as well. I mean, manufacturer's instructions, yeah, it's all well and good. But if you want control and you need more control with your foils, then I always recommend, you can mix bleach up, depending what it is, to 3 levels the amount that's recommended. And I always like to work with a thicker bleach because, like I said, you just get more control. This kind of technique here is going to give you so much more lift as well, which, like I said to you before, all the girls in Rotherham, they like a lot of lift, okay? So again, I'm just going to subsection this, so it means I split it, leave that area out as a shadow, and then just back comb on the underneath, and then slice away, okay? If I was to... Oh, go on.
Like Hendrik just said, to watch Georgia all day with other techniques.
Oh, bless her. So again, if you can see, guys, I'm going in with the tip of my brush. Like I said, if we're going like that, what have we got there? We've got a really dirty line that we're going to have to work out. So it's always better to kind of go in a bit softer and blend it through. Now, if I was doing this in the salon on a person, I would never, ever use 12%. I would be using no higher than 20 bob. And again, I like to work in sections because I know that those sections need rinsing off at different times. I never ever understand anyone that does a full load of highlights and then rinses it off altogether. That's just crazy to me. Do you colour, Simon, in your salon?
Interestingly, I've been chatting with, Winning Ways that was on live on Thursday last week, the business coaches. They basically rang me today and they was asking me, why don't you colour anymore? And I said, interestingly, I've been thinking of going back into it, but I got so inundated with gents' haircuts at the minute that I found that my staff might as well do the colouring for me. But I do want to go back into colouring.
Yeah, I do. I love colouring. In every baby like that I do, guys, I'm trying to get 10 weaves into that, okay? And if you are baby lighting, let me tell you, don't do a baby light and then try and back comb because you're going to be stood there forever. So always back comb your section before you do a diffused baby light in this technique. Another reason why I use the side of my brush is I just really feel like I can get that product right into the hair. There's nothing worse than when we do any form of highlight and then we rinse it off at the basin and it's just not gone through and it looks a little bit patchy. I've changed my brush for this technique and I'm using a Framar just because it's a hard bristle and I really like that. But if I'm trying to do a soft technique like this here, I use a softer bristle. Like I said, I use the Jack Howard by Denman for that. But with the highlight, I just want something a little bit harder so I can really ensure that that product saturates through. Hi, Marcus. Good, he's my assistant. I love him. I miss him. Oh, I'm missing you too, mate. Yeah, any questions, guys? If you ever find that you haven't got enough back comb as well and you turn this over, just use your tail comb and push it back up and that'll just help diffuse it a little bit further, okay?
I think
you can see though, even more questions, yeah?
No, I think you're smashing it, mate. You're doing that well of a description that you've gone quiet. You've got 140 people watching and no questions.
Ask me some bloody questions, people. No, so so yeah, that's the kind of slice that I'm looking for that. And then I'm going to move on to baby light. Now, I do switch my sectioning pattern up for this to make it work. But what I'll do is, because I'm doing so many techniques, I couldn't actually share that with you. So I will share it in comments, or Simon will share it with you a little bit later on. I just really wanted to give people a better understanding. And I kind of wanted to design a course, right, that was suitable for somebody that's coming into the industry and somebody that's been in the industry for ages. And we all know when we've been in industry for ages, we get proper stuck in a rut sometimes, don't we? Or if we are coming into the industry, we can get really, really confused by sectioning and stuff like that. So I wanted to create something that was kind of suitable for everybody, actually. It's all right telling somebody to create something, but if they don't actually understand the where, what, and why of it, how are they ever going to recreate it, you know?
We've got a couple of questions come in, but before that, tell us about your course.
So I do a few courses. So basically, I'm doing at the moment I'm doing a social media course. So I've teamed up with a few people. We're doing a social media boot camp because I think that's really important. I think, you know what, the biggest thing that affects us, Simon, in life is time in it, and the things that we shy away from things because we haven't got time, but all of a sudden we've just been given this really precious thing which is called time. So, you know, I think social media is so important. I think, you know, for me especially, I'm based in a small town, right? There's no branded shops. There's 33 other hairdressers. So effectively my Instagram becomes how people see me and how people get to view my work. So it's really important that, you know, we boss it. And actually it's really important that we get a really good idea of how to brand ourselves. Like, I've not been on Instagram long. I've been on Instagram 2.5 years, but I've effectively built it to like 12,000 organic followers. And I think it's really important right now. So I've launched a social media company while we've been off. And then also the balayage, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques from my 2-stage balayage. So what was happening with me is we were doing balayage in the salon. And I don't know if anyone will agree with me with this, but we weren't getting the retention because it's low maintenance hair. So I was doing balayage and I wasn't actually seeing people for 7 to 9 months, and I was actually questioning my own skill level. I was thinking, shit, am I not doing a good enough job? And then actually people coming back to me like 8 months later saying that they felt the placement was so good that they didn't need to come back. But from a business perspective, how bad is that? So we came up with something in our salon that we decided we were going to do it in stages. So the first stage in our salon, we never do. And let's face it, we are faced with so many pictures and pressure from Pinterest and Instagram to do that colour all in one go. And actual fact, we end up losing money as stylists. So we do it in 3 stages now. Now that's a really good thing in the fact that they do say that once a client's been to you 3 times, you can classify them as a regular. So all of our appointments are kind of based on like a 3 appointment time. So the first kind of stage that we do is a seamless melt. And then the second stage is a foliage placement. And then the third stage is a toner and a blow dry. So effectively, we're going to do that 8 weeks apart from each other. And we're going to keep you as a balayage client for 6 months. And then effectively after that, it's time to get lighter. So yeah, it really works for us. So I've just done a course, I've just done a course with that. And then I've got a free hand ribboning course. But I was doing freelance education roughly for about 1.5 years before all this happened. So I actually went and worked with Sophia Hilton and the team at Not Another Salon, and then I devised my own education freelance. And then, but before actually, just about 2 months before all this kicked off, I started doing online education as well, because I wanted to make education available for everybody, because not everybody can afford the day rates that some of the educators charge. So I really wanted to jump online, and I started doing, you know, online education for all the new learners, older learners, or people that just can't financially afford it right now, which I think is a good thing. And then obviously this happened and all this education happened, which is amazing. But yeah, it was something that I was thinking about and launching, just because I want to be accessible, and I want to be affordable, and I want to be reachable. I think it's really important. So I've nearly finished this section. You can see this section probably took me about 10 minutes. So like I said, everything is really kind of concentrated in our salon to be really quick, effective and banging. Like, we don't want to be messing about. Who wants to stand for 2.5 hours doing a freehand balayage on somebody's head for 100 quid? Nobody. So we try and cater everything to be kind of quick and effective.
So going back to the questions that were earlier, I'll fire them at you because I know you're nearly finishing that section. But Nicholas Hall said, where did you buy your doll's head from again?
I just got this one from a local warehouse. Yeah, from a local warehouse. Do you know what? It's great. It does job. If you're just doing something, if you're just practicing, I really recommend something like this. Like I've just done my 2-stage balayage class, and I got my doll's head from Pivot Point. Yeah, so I got Lydia by Sam Villa, and they've got 20% off at the minute, and I got her for about £90, which is really great when you're doing education. If you're practicing, I'd always recommend a cheaper doll's head, but if you wanted to do something special, or if you wanted to do like updos or styling, I'd recommend a Pivot Point, because I think they're really good heads, and I think they're really good quality of hair.
Awesome. Next question. Are you leaving it about an inch from the root and then applying product?
Yeah. So I'm leaving it. Obviously, the 3 back combs roughly gives me about an inch, but I'll show you in a moment. I do fold my foil over an inch just to give me that safety net. And again, I'm not back combing from the top because I don't think that gives me enough welly. I'm banging from underneath, so it makes sure that I've got a really good amount of back home at the root. So again, just as an extra safety net, I'll fold this over an inch, just as an extra bit of guideline, okay? And if I don't feel like I've got enough back comb here, I'll use the tip of my comb here and I'll just push it up a little bit further, okay?
Ryan Kerrison has said, do you find it difficult brushing out the back comb when you finish? And if you do you have any tips for getting it out?
So we would always shampoo the mid-length and ends, and then we will go through it with a really heavy conditioner, and then we'll tangle tease it out the basin. I've never really had many issues with it, to be honest. And I do think also that back combing can be quite gimmicky, but then I think the certain techniques, it's really brilliant.
A couple of people are asking about this social media course, so I will get a link off you to put in the group afterwards if that's all right with you.
Yep, no problem.
If you want to follow, it's Georgia Bell Hair, I believe, on Instagram.
Yep, Georgia Bell Hair.
Just check that before I write it out for you, but I'll write that in the group now and then I'll post it. Georgia Bell Hair.
Thank you.
Right. That's great. Is it online now, your course? Someone's asking.
No, so basically we put feelers out there the other day. And we've basically sold our first. So we're doing a taster session free of charge, which is basically telling you, I've teamed up with a couple of industry professionals in social media. One's a logo expert, one is a social media expert, and we have teamed up together, and we're doing the first taster tomorrow evening, 75 places that sold out. And then we have got the next taster on the Thursday evening, and we've got about 30 places left for that. So if anyone wants to just jump on for the free taster, see what it's about, then please feel free, and then see if us guys can help you. So why not, Simon? Why not? So I'm just gonna do another slice, and I'm gonna end on a baby light. Now, if you end on a baby light, it's going to become so much softer. If you end on a slice, the kind of look that you're going to get is harsher. So just remember that. The slice is thicker. That's going to be the more dimension to the section. But the baby light's going to be so much softer. So if you're wanting a soft finish, always finish on a baby light. If you're wanting a slightly harsher finish, then finish on a slice. Again, I don't think there's any right or wrong way. I think it's just down to personal preference, okay? Yeah.
Tracy Dunbar has said we can hear the passion in you.
Oh, that's lovely.
This is a great one. I can't find it. Bear with me while I find it so I read it correctly. But I want to give the lady credit because she said she was recommended. So you go. I live in Newcastle and I was told to follow you by my colour rep. She said you was a star in the industry. So well done. Love the jaw. Hang on. Well done. The Geordies love you.
Oh, that's lovely.
Lucy Fisher.
Yeah, thank you. Do you know what? I am so passionate about our industry, and I tell you what, like I didn't know how to get better. I'm from a small town, so I proper grafted. When I ripped as fair in London, I used to travel once a week. And I used to work for free at first just to get my foot in the door, and I'm so passionate, and I'm really glad that shows. So I'm going to move on to the front now. So let's do a little bit of foil face frame. So I have done a middle parting, and I'm going to just do you a little bit of face frame through the front. And then I'm going to do you some chunky highlights. And then we're going to move on and we're going to do a little bit of an ombre here, okay? So when I am doing my face frame, is that view okay, Simon? Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm taking from the middle part in here, as you can see, right? And I'm just going to take like a little triangular section, okay? I'm going to work with 3 baby lights on top of each other. Any more than 3 baby lights is going to be like a full-on 90s clueless stroke Spice Girls contour, which is only good if you want it. And I know heavy contours come in at the minute, but a lot of the girls want the money piece in the front of the hair to be quite soft. Now, I would do the same in the nape of the neck. So the money piece in the nape of the neck is just as important as what it is in the front of the face, because so many people are wearing the hair up. But I'm looking at the way that the hair's growing, and that's how I'm placing my money piece. So if somebody has a side parting, i.e. here, I would do my diamond from that side parting. Does that make sense? And then I would work my highlight from that side parting. So because she's got a middle parting, I'm just going to work straight from that middle parting. But I'm not just going to concentrate on this section here. I'm going to concentrate on every single bit of the face frame, okay? So I'm going to take a section that's about 1 millimetre, okay? And I'm going to take the money piece straight up to the root. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to bend this piece of hair over my finger, because this is going to give me more control in between my weaves. If I'm holding a foil down here and I try and weave it, it's going to be saggy, it's going to be baggy, we don't know where we're going, okay? And also, if you put your hand on somebody's head, you can actually control their movements. There is nothing worse than doing a colour on somebody's head and they're moving it about and they're talking with their hands and they're talking with their head. So actually my hand all the while is there controlling you, all right? And I'm going to need that after lockdown, because I'm going to be that busy and you're going to be that busy that you won't really got time to somebody to be shaking their head like this, okay? So I'm just going to take my baby light now. There's 12 weaves in that, okay? And that's going to be my first money piece. Flip it over and really pull it down, okay? So much so I can't even get it out. Right, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the side of my brush. And I'm just going to place a bit of product there, right? That's going to give me a bit of grip. And I'm going to put my fingers here. That's going to give me more control to go straight up to the root, okay? So what I can do with all that hair that's bagging there, that you think, shit, I can't get it right up to the root, I'm going to use the side of my brush, and I'm just going to stroke down like that, okay? That's going to allow me to get closer to the root. And my fingers here all the time is going to give me that amount of control, okay? It's going to keep my foil there, and I'm not going to get any bleeds. That's another reason why I mix my bleach quite thickly, is because I've got more control. I can let go of that foil. It's not going anywhere. And that's because I'm using a sturdy foil. I'm using ProCare, but it's also because I've mixed my product up thicker than what I normally would do. And then once I've got close enough to the root, and I'm quite happy with that, if you get any transfer like I just have to just wipe it away, I flip and fill. So I flip it and fill it right to the bottom, okay?
Gemma Maguire says, love how she explains things.
Professional.
I think,
okay, so the next section, again, that's going to be...
My praise for that is I think it's a northern thing. I think it's we've not been taught the correct way to present and to deliver courses, so we just make our own way, but people seem to get on with it.
Shall I tell you what I think it is, right? I've been on so much education and I ain't slagging it, because I really, really, really appreciate the technicality and the right way to say things. But whenever I did my education, whenever I went out there, I wanted to appeal to the everyday hairdresser. So whatever I was teaching, I wanted people to understand. Now, I know that if I'm taking my kids in here, if I'm taking a 22 angle from the occipital bone and I'm pulling it to a 90-degree angle, the everyday hairdresser, I'd get lost with that. So I just wanted to come up with ways and quirky ways of saying things so people understand me, because I think that just makes it so much more relatable. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's a northern thing. I just think it's I don't know. I think it's who you're appealing to, isn't it? Who you want to speak to. Yeah, I know your audience. Yeah. See you later, mate. That's my 7-year-old.
A lot of love coming in from a few of commenters, regular commenters as well. Amanda at Sachs, Nicola, Claire Kendrick, all been here since day one, and they're all commenting saying they love how you're giving it to us. Emma Acton Jones says, giving it to us straight, haha, top laugh.
That's lovely. What gave you the idea, Si, for Hair Socials?
Basically, Matrix was kind enough to pay me for a month of work that we obviously had in lockdown, and they didn't ask for the money back, and I asked them, could I do something else for them? So I put myself in a position where I said I would do some lives, but I was so nervous that no one would watch that I invited you and all the hairdressers I've worked with to join a group. But, if I deliver you my men's course, will you deliver me your Georgia Bell balayage course? And we've always talked about doing this. This is something that me and you spoke about 3.5, 4 years ago, wherever we were, Manchester.
We've been trying to, I'll tell you what, we've been trying to get each other down, haven't we? We've been trying to hold each other down for the past 3 years, me and you.
Exactly. So this is what I've done. I've just basically thought, well, I need to stop fucking whinging about it and get on with it.
Well, I think it's absolutely fucking fantastic, mate, what you've done. Really do. I think it's great. I think it's just, it's so much access. It just shows you how accessible the world is and how many techniques there are available. So I've done my first 3 baby lights in the front. Now I've made sure that here, this section here, that's going to be a section of dimension. So that's going to be a section of shadow, okay? Now I'm going to go on to this section here. I'm only going to baby light this side here as face frame, but be aware, if you are doing a face frame, you'll be doing exactly the same on this side, on the other side as what you're doing on this side, okay? Just taking that in on an angle.
So while you do that, Tracy Dunbar has said, it's a friendly terminology and it sticks.
Yeah, good. Good.
Claire Jones says, love it.
Baby light here, guys. Sometimes I'll freehand these, but it just depends on the technique that I'm doing. So sometimes I'll just freehand ribbon them. But I always think that money piece, actually, should be super light. So I think that working it in foil and working it in a baby light is just so much better, and it's just going to get those super light pieces. And you can actually tell in consultation, actually, where I kind of use a lot of body language to tell my consultation. So I can actually tell when if somebody touches the underneath of the hair, I can tell that it's all of the hair that's bothering them. If someone's touching the front, then I can tell it's really that contour that I really need to work on, and maybe I can get away with doing like a half head of foil. I think it's really good to look at people's consultations and body language, and that way you can figure out the amount of work that you've got to do to sort of make that appointment the best appointment for them.
Agreeing with us. People agreeing with the idea of Hair Socials and like sharing education and the amount of tips and tricks. And I don't think this is the end of paid education, because I think what this does is, this is just like you said, like a taster, actually, you might not have heard of Georgia Bell before, but here she is and here's what she does.
You should always give out the best. I think you should always give out the best content that you possibly can do, because really what you're selling is you're selling access to you. So really you should give out the best content that you can, and not hold back, because there's always somebody wants to. I think people buy people, Simon. So I think that I've been doing some really good education for people, because I'd like to think that in lockdown people thought, oh yeah, that chick's all right, I'll get her to come and teach me salon when things get better. And yes, it's going to be a while until things get better, but there is going to be a time when it gets better. And I think likability, as well as technique and as well as talent and as well as working hard, plays a big part in all this. I don't know if you'd agree with me there, but...
Oh, mate, massively. I'm not the most talented hairdresser in the world, and I'm always quite open and broad about that, but I know what I know, I like what I like, and I try and be nice to everybody on the way. Sarah Rule has said she's learnt a lot more in the last few weeks than she has all year. Jenny Murphy O'Neill has said, please can you show us the section at the side of the face that your baby lighting? I think it's just a little bit far, maybe, for perfect.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Sorry, I forget. Because I'm on my own. Normally, when I do these lives, I've got an assistant and I've got Dave there, and Dave's always like, yeah, do this.
Yeah,
but I got that.
That's my bad. I'm reading the question.
Lost in the hair.
A great one here. Michelle Summer Davies has said, well done on your nomination for Colour World.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm proper chuffed about that. Yeah, all in you. Please vote for me. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I'm right chuffed about that. It's good. I applied last year and I didn't get through. So I'm really pleased I got through this year. Just by going with the side of my brush, I can really get right close up to that root. And actually, if I use my fingers here, can you see I can shift that foil so much further. Go on, Si, you said you got a comment for me.
Mate, the comments coming through. I'm trying to filter them down, but if when you talk, I'll let you talk. But this is the first time watching. Honestly, love your way and inspiration to our industry from Nicole Wood. So welcome, Nicole.
Oh, thank you, mate.
Would you recommend using the board with the comb of the teeth to freehand highlights? With the comb teeth?
Yeah, so I do freehand highlights, and I will use a board for freehand highlights, absolutely. That's the only time I do use a board, actually, not for balayage, but for freehand highlight. So I'm going to so can you see, guys, I've done 3 on each other. Now, if I was doing a full-on foil face frame, I'd do another 3 here, but I've got this little triangular of shadow here. Now, I'm going to move to a chunky highlight. Now, my chunky highlights, they go between 3 and 5. So that means 3, 4 or 5 weaves, depending on the section size. So the first section I'm going to take, normally about an inch section, okay? All of that is going to be left as shadow, because I know that I've got my money piece in the front here. So I'm going to take that as shadow, a little bit more actually. So it's about an inch worth of shadow there. So I'm going to pick up the entire section. I'm going to see where the foliage placement's falling, because a lot of balayage is visual. So in actual fact, I realise that I've got to kick that amount of shadow out there, okay? Because I've got a foil. So I'm going to just concentrate on foiling in a chunky highlight this bit here. But I'm not going to subsection it, so I'm not going to cut it in half. I want to keep it nice and soft, and I'm only going to put 3 in there. Can you see that chunky weave there? And I'm just going to weave that, and I'm going to weave it straight up to root. Remember, I've got my veil here, which is my natural bit, which is going to fall over. So that is my natural shadow. Can everyone see that okay? Okay, cool.
You've had 500 engagements on this via love or likes or laughing faces of points that we've been talking about. That's your accents, probably 434 love outs. So keep them coming, guys.
Here, I hope you're not laughing at my techniques. I hope you're laughing at the way I talk about them.
When I've done other lives, I've seen a couple of angry faces, and I thought, what on earth are they? Why are they angry for free content? And then I've looked back at the conversation, and it'll be like, for example, Adam Reed talking about him getting bullied as a kid for being gay, and then that makes sense.
So here, right, okay, so I've got a triangle because I've got a diamond, right? Now, a mistake I made a couple of months ago is, when you put weaves in and you think, I could just do with one more. So I banged one right here. And then when I curled it and I did it, there was just like this weird fucking blonde piece like in the middle. So always on this top section, make sure that you kick that little bit of shadow out, okay? So probably about half an inch of shadow. And we're just going to concentrate on foiling this section here, okay? Again, we're only going to do 3. Now, if this was the back of the head, it would be so much denser. So you'd need so many foils. But because this is the side here, and we've already chucked 3 foils in, we only need to do 2 chunky weaves. But again, like I said to you earlier, I'll do that head mapping for you. And I'll make sure that I send you over the placement so you can kind of get an understanding of what it looks like all over the head. Or, you know, I've got my 2-stage balayage. If anyone wants to watch it, they can do. Okay, so how long have we been doing this for, Simon?
Part 2 has been for 45 minutes, so we're an hour and 10-ish, roughly. But since I've said about the comments and the interactions, mate, you're now at 700.
Okay, great. Okay, so that is going to be my final piece for, put that bit in there, my balayage placement. Dave's coming to the door and he's giving me like a thumbs up saying I'm all right, bless him. Okay. Right, so we've got a foliage, we've got chunky foil, we've got a freehand balayage here with the clay bleach. That you can see that's drained nicely, that's encapsulated, that's still lifting, but you're never ever going to get the same amount of lift as what you're going to do with a normal bleach. And then you've got your 90s revival decent foil versus baby light versus slice. Last section we're going to do is going to be just a little bit of an ombre, which is kind of similar. I mean, my assistant did this before lockdown, and you can kind of see the result. This is raw, so this is without a toner, so it really is quite a nice effect, okay? I'm going to get some gloves back on, and I'm going to saturate this section down with water, and then we're just going to go ahead and melt it, okay?
Yeah. While you're doing that, basically, people are asking where can they find videos for her, please. I presume they're on about that the course. What I'll do is after this, I'll get George to give us the details of the course, post it in the group with a link to the freehand balayage one that you've offered.
Yeah, sure. So you get a freehand balayage one, which is free, and then if you want to see the two-stage balayage one, it's 20 quid. But if you just want to slide onto my DMs in Instagram, and then message me if anyone is interested in the course, then give me a message and you can have access. And then you've got me on Instagram and you can ask me any questions.
So this section here, I'll post it in the group. We're on 870.
Hey, check that out. So I'm gonna really saturate this with water. So normally what I would do, this will be the first stage of my 2-stage balayage in the salon. So I talked earlier about not being able to get enough retention from the balayage that I'm creating, and I wasn't seeing clients for 7 to 9 months, and I was thinking, how can I make money? Balayage is so popular right now. How can I make money? So we started doing it in 3 stages. We did it in 3 stages. One, because we could make more money every time, but also it's kinder to the hair. The hair's going to be left in better condition. But also they say that especially if it's a new client, if they come back to you 3 times, then effectively they're going to be a regular client. So the first stage that we always do is an ombre, but we would normally wet this down at the base. And now the good thing about having a completely saturated section like this, and it is wet from root to tip, is the water is going to condense the hair down, meaning I can take thicker sections, I can use less product, and I'm going to be so much quicker. The only thing I would say this technique is you have to be quick, because it can end up looking quite liney, okay, if you leave it on too long. But literally, I'm going to do this in 3 sections and then it's going to be done. I have done a doll's head from my 2-stage balayage, which I prepared for you earlier, Simon. So after I've done this bit, we'll put this doll's head to one side and we'll show you the kind of 2-stage balayage technique.
Me and you work well together.
Here's one that I prepared earlier. No, I'm joking. So I'm going to take the side of my brush and I'm going to paint where I want that ombre to start, okay? I'm going to use not using my assistant's go as a guideline or anything here. I'm going to use my finger and my thumb to just push that product down. And I'm just going to slide any kind of line out. And then I'm really just going to overload the ends full of product, okay?
Question from me.
Yeah.
How does this affect the lift, wetting it here?
So I'm working with 12% now. I'm working with bleach 12%. The water's going to drop the peroxide down 1 level, so it's going to go to 9%. Okay. So I'm saying if you want to practice this technique, I would advise that you use 6% and you drop it down to 3, because I do this technique all the time, right? So I'm going to be quick. So I can work I can work with a higher peroxide. Go on.
To myself one sec. So, Sean Earnshaw, you might recognise the name, has said, I just want to say that Georgia works in the salon down the road from me. She came and offered to let me sit in some of her classes. She's a kind, great, honest, amazing teacher, so patient. Cheers, mate.
Oh, that's so nice. So yeah, basically I got my salon, and then I've got a little studio, and then there's this kid Sean who's just commented, thank you so much, mate, for that comment. And he basically works in a salon, and I just think, you know, when you got somebody that to inspire, like, just because you can see they're so passionate and they've got talent, always just say, hey mate, if you want to sit in and watch, then just sit in and watch me. Always try and be kind. You never know when it's going to come back to you. I'm also using the underneath section as a guideline, okay? And I'm just really, really feathering. I'm not putting the product on heavy. I just really, when I do this ombre in the salon, I am not looking for this to become blonde. I am looking for, you know, if at best 1 to 2 levels of difference, because I'm always thinking of the future appointments. Okay, so I really want an expensive, seamless colour. A lot of the time, I won't even tone this because it's just so soft and lovely. You don't need to.
Would you, if this was a full head version of this application, would you leave any of them shadowed areas that you said earlier?
No, I'd just leave it like this, and then what would happen is I'd get you. So this would be the first stage of my 2-stage balayage here, and that would be throughout the head, including the diamond that I've sectioned out. Now, what I would do is I'd get you back in 8 weeks to do all of this part here, and then I'd get you back in 8 weeks. 8 weeks more to do a toner and a blow dry. So effectively, it's 3 appointments over 2 months of each. So I'd be spreading your appointments out over 6 months. So by the time that 6 months is over, I'm ready to start the lightening process again with you. So it's a really good way of retaining your balayage and making money from your balayage. So I'm going to get rid of this doll's head now. Let's just do a quick overview. So we've done a really nice wet ombre here. We've done a foil, a slice against a baby light, which is like a 90s revival of the slices, but in actual fact, it's just a much softer, updated version. And then here we've got a clay lightener, but we've got 3 techniques. So we've got the large W's, excuse my bleach on my hands, the skinny V's, and then the ribbons. And then here we've got the second stage of the 2-stage balayage. So we've got the full face frame, which would in fact include face frame here as well, but because I did that note, I included it out. That's 3 baby lights on top of each other, back to back, and then the chunky highlight placement with the diamond section on the top, which is going to be shadow. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that doll's head now, and I'm going to just bring you the one that I made earlier.
While you do
now,
that,
please be aware
that you have smashed the record on the interaction of Love Arts and Like buttons. This doesn't show, I will take a picture of this because this doesn't show afterwards, but you have had 1,800 Love Arts. That's more by about 1,000.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, guys. You've made my night. So anyway, right, please bear with me. This was curled at 10 o'clock this morning, so it has dropped a bit. But this is the effect of the 2-stage balayage. I've got bleach all over me. I'm such a messy person. So here we go. So we've got the money pieces in the front. These are your baby lights, okay? So you can see those. And they're 3 baby lights on top of each other. So you can see, in effect, how if you were to go anywhere, you'd be like full on like Spice Girl contour, which is only good if you want it. And then this is the effect of the melt and also the ribbons throughout the colour. Hello, sweetheart. And then we've also got, and then we've also got the baby lights in the nape of the neck, creating that balayage. Sorry about that, guys. So this is my 2-stage balayage. So yesterday we did that in a class. So we did the seamless melt, and then we did the foliage placement, and this is the result. So I hope you all like it, and I hope you've all enjoyed the class. Is there any more questions, Simon?
Mate, only thing you've got coming in right now is love. You've got compliments. You've got gorgeous, amazing by Holly Trickett, who's a friend of mine, so I'll shout that one. Love Arts from everyone. Over 2,000 on the count now. Nicholas Hall, absolutely loving this. Jill Purver said, amazing work, advice and tips, thank you. Love that result. I mean, I'm not going to read them all, mate. There's loads, but they're all coming in.
All right, quality. Well, what I'll do is I'll have a look. But what I'll do is I'll develop this. I'll probably have to develop it an hour because it's like a doll's head. And what I'll do is I will blow dry each section at some point tomorrow so you can see an example of each technique. And I'll bang you some photos, or you can, I'll bang you some photos from my Instagram and I'll put them in the comments. And I'll kind of show you the effect that if you carry on working through the head, that's the effect that you're going to get. But yeah, I've really enjoyed doing it, mate. And I think what you're doing is absolutely cracking. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Thank you, mate. And I'll leave you on that note. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, bye.